Okay, get ready for this. Elephants are basically texting each other right now, through the ground, with their feet. And they have been doing it for millions of years before humans even figured out how to write a single word. I know. I know. Welcome back to the channel. And today we are talking about one of the wildest, most mind-blowing things happening in the animal kingdom that most people have absolutely no idea about. Elephants are not just big, wrinkly, peanut-eating giants. They are walking communication towers. And their secret? The ground beneath their enormous feet. Let us start from the beginning. You probably already know that elephants are smart. Like, really smart. They recognize themselves in mirrors. They mourn their dead. They remember places they visited decades ago. But here is the thing nobody talks about at school. Elephants have a whole second language. One that is completely invisible to human eyes and almost completely silent to human ears. They send messages through vibrations in the earth itself. And they can feel those messages from miles away. Miles away. That is not a typo. That is not an exaggeration. Scientists have measured it. Elephants can detect ground vibrations from other elephants that are up to 10 miles in the distance. 10 miles is like running around a racetrack 40 times. That is how far their secret foot messages can travel. So how does it actually work? Here is where it gets genuinely cool. When an elephant walks, stomps, or makes a deep rumbling call, it does not just send sound waves through the air. It also sends seismic waves through the ground, like a tiny little earthquake. Those waves travel through the soil way faster and way farther than sound travels through air. And elephants have evolved some incredible equipment to receive those signals. First, their feet. Elephant feet have this thick, fatty cushion on the bottom. It looks squishy and soft, which is funny because these animals weigh up to 14,000 pounds. But that cushion is not just for comfort. It is packed with special nerve endings that are incredibly sensitive to vibration. Scientists call these mechanoreceptors. You can just call them vibration detectors, because that is exactly what they are. But here is the surprising part that even a lot of wildlife experts do not realize. Elephants do not just feel vibrations through their feet. They also feel them through their bones. Specifically, through their leg bones and all the way up into their jaw. The vibration travels up through the skeleton and into a special bone near the ear. This lets the elephant basically hear the ground. Their whole body becomes a giant antenna. When researchers first figured this out, they could not believe it. They thought it had to be a mistake. So they tested it. They played recordings overhead of other elephants making alarm calls. But they played them through speakers buried underground instead of through the air. The elephants still reacted. They froze. They bunched together. They lifted their feet slightly off the ground, which scientists believe actually helps them tune into the signal better, like adjusting a radio dial. Think about that image for a second. A massive elephant standing perfectly still, one foot slightly lifted, listening to the earth. Absolutely incredible. Now here is surprising fact number 3, and this one really got me when I found out. Elephants can actually tell the difference between who is sending the message. Not just what the message is, but who specifically sent it. Researchers at the University of Sussex did experiments where they played ground vibrations from elephants the herd knew and then from strangers. The herd reacted completely differently depending on whose vibration it was. When it was a familiar elephant, they were calm and curious. When it was a stranger, they went on high alert. So they are not just receiving text. They are reading the contact name before they even pick up. And the things they communicate are genuinely important. Elephants send seismic signals to warn each other about predators. They use them to find mates across huge distances. They use them to coordinate movement of the whole herd. Mother elephants may use ground vibrations to keep track of their calves when they cannot see them. In the thick African savanna where tall grass blocks the view, that is not just convenient. That could be life or death. Here is another fact that will genuinely make your jaw drop. Elephants can tell the difference between the footsteps of a human and the footsteps of another animal just from the seismic signal. And not just any human. In studies done in Kenya, elephants showed stronger alarm responses to the vibrations of Maasai men, who are known in that region to sometimes have conflicts with elephants, compared to other groups of people. They were identifying potential threats based on who was walking nearby, without even seeing them. They are basically running threat assessments through their feet. The elephant who figured all this out on the research side was a scientist named Caitlin O'Connell. She spent years studying elephants in Namibia and noticed that they would suddenly freeze and orient themselves toward a distant location before any visible or audible signal had arrived. At first, nobody believed her theory about seismic communication. Then the evidence piled up, and eventually the whole scientific world had to admit she was right. One determined scientist, one giant mystery, and the answer was literally underground the entire time. Now here is something that connects all of this together in a beautiful way. Elephants are incredibly social animals. Their herds are led by matriarchs, which are the oldest, most experienced females. And those matriarchs are the best at reading seismic signals, because they have been doing it the longest. They have the most experience. They have felt the most vibrations over the most years. So the wisdom of the herd is literally stored in the body of its oldest member. When a matriarch dies, the herd loses not just a leader, they lose their most sensitive, most experienced seismic receiver. This is one reason why elephant poaching is so devastating beyond just the obvious tragedy. When poachers target older elephants for their larger tusks, they are destroying the most knowledgeable member of the entire communication network. And here is one more thing I want to leave you with because I think it is beautiful. Elephants have been roaming this planet for millions of years, long before humans built cities or roads or anything else. And all that time they have been talking to each other through the ground, through the bones of the earth itself, a language older than any human word, a conversation that has been going on so long that the ground itself seems to be part of the herd. When you hear an elephant trumpet loudly, that is the part we notice. That is the part we record and put in movies. But underneath that, simultaneously, invisibly, there is another message going out through the ground, traveling for miles, being felt by giant sensitive feet and ancient bones, decoded by animals who have been practicing this skill for longer than our entire species has existed. The loud call is the headline. The seismic signal is the whole story. Next time you see an elephant video online, look at their feet. Notice if they pause. Notice if they seem to be listening to something no one else can hear. Because they probably are. There is a whole conversation happening that we can barely detect even with our best scientific equipment. And elephants are doing it naturally every single day. We think of elephants as these big, slow, visible creatures. But they have an invisible life. A secret world of signals and messages and recognition and warning, all flowing silently through the earth beneath them. And honestly, compared to that, our smartphones seem a little embarrassing. So here is my question for you today, and I genuinely want to know what you think in the comments. If you could have any animal superpower, would you choose the ability to send and receive messages through the ground like an elephant? Or is there another animal sense from a different creature you think would be even more useful? Drop your answer below, because last time I asked a question like this, we got over 2,000 replies, and some of them were absolutely wild. Thank you so much for watching. If this blew your mind even a little bit, share it with one person today, because more people need to know that elephants are out here communicating through the literal ground, and we are just now figuring it out. See you in the next one.